Hey guys, and welcome back to That LP Show. The name of the game is Donkey Kong 64. Now that it's daytime, we have access to this barn area with some heavy machinery, and we're going to throw a monkey wrench in the works in order to get some golden bananas. And this is pretty much the last area that we'll be visiting in Fungi Forest before taking on the boss and getting the key. Now, if I could just position myself correctly, you'll see that there is a set of numbers up there, 2132. That's actually a hint for a little puzzle that we're going to do here. And in order to trigger that, we need to come up here and do the Mario by butt stomping on a question mark block and triggering this DK switch. It is blue, so you do have to have the Super Simian Slam in order to do this. And the gate that this switch opened only stays open for a few seconds, so don't dawdle. You have to be really quick about getting in here, and then it shuts behind you. There is a way to get out, though. And of course we have a yellow balloon right there for the last of DK's bananas. And now we have to pull these switches in the order that we saw on that sign on the wall, 21132. And they make it even easier to tell which switch is which by putting those markers on the ground. Now, if only there was a way to actually speed up DK's animation for pulling switches. I mean, seriously, how much torque do you need to actually crank down on these things? I mean, if an 800-pound gorilla is having an issue with them, who are they even put here for? I do like the animation of him falling on his back every time he manages to finally pull one, though. Rare always was good about putting really expressive character animations into the Donkey Kong games, and their other games, of course. It's definitely something you never see in the Mario games. Nobody there has any kind of personality, except for, maybe in the RPGs. But if I'm not mistaken, none of the RPGs in the Mario series were developed in-house, so... Anyway, I'm rambling. You probably noticed that golden banana for DK was sent into a caged-off area blocked by a moon gate, so yeah, we're not going to be able to access that during the daytime. We'll have to switch it back to nighttime, which we will do a little later. We're going to be switching back and forth between night and day as we collect all the golden bananas in this barn area. I just wanted to switch to Tiny right there, just so I can get those purple coins. And you can get them a little later once we start going after her last golden banana, but it's just faster this way since I was already right there. And these barn doors that we just punched open with the Primate Punch are blocked by a moon gate blocked by a sun gate during the night, so it does have to be day in order to get in here. So there's two things that we want to do here. First of all, we want to punch this question mark block with the Primate Punch, and that serves as nothing else than a way to access this area with Tiny Kong during the night. Which I kind of like because it gives you an excuse to use the Kongs in tandem in order to access one thing. And I always like that in games where you play as multiple characters at once and you're able to switch back and forth them on the fly when the game forces you to solve puzzles by constantly switching back and forth between the different characters and using their different abilities in order to reach a common goal. Something that was done to far lesser extent in Sonic Heroes. I think the most you used all three of the characters together in that game is when you were just making all three of them stand on switches. Other than that, what character you were playing as only really determined what attacks you had access to and what paths you were taking. Anyway, as we're carrying this steel keg in here, you do want to be careful because this keg that you're bringing in here right now, if you put it down and then jump into a tag barrel, it will despawn and you'll have to go back and get it again. But the main gimmick here is to break this spiked roller on the conveyor belt, and you need to do that by tossing 3 kegs into it. There's actually only 2 sitting in this barn area, or sitting in this room of the barn. So that's why you had to go and get the third one from the other side. I've always wondered what's in these steel kegs in the Donkey Kong Country series. It might just be the military guy in me talking, but every time I see a steel keg like that, I think it's a beer keg. It's full of beer, but, this is a children's game, so I don't think they would do that. But what else does someone keep in a steel keg? Maybe gunpowder? I think maybe gunpowder. Or any other kind of volatile chemical that you wouldn't be able to actually contain in a wooden barrel. And now that I think about it, wooden barrels also often contain beer. So they're all-purpose containers, you know, like the magic bottles in the Zelda series. And why doesn't Link just carry around kegs? He can, you know, they can hold more, and he can, you know, they'd be in a much safer container that wouldn't break, wouldn't spill as easily. And don't tell me that it wouldn't make any sense and he wouldn't be able to actually hold them, because it's Link we're talking about. He's the guy who's able to hold an entire armory up the hammer space in his ass. Anyway, it is nighttime again, so I'm going to jump in here and switch back to DK real quick, because we now have access to that golden banana that was in the cage that we released when we flipped those switches, so I'm going to grab that real quick, and then we'll switch over to Tiny Kong. She only has a few things to gather, including her last golden banana, well, except for the one that involves the blueprint, but after that, yeah, we'll pretty much be done here. We'll take on the area boss, and then we'll wrap things up and move on. Okay, switching back to Tiny Kong, and if you recall, which you probably should if you're not a goldfish, because it was only a few minutes ago, we smashed a crate on the inside of the barn with Chunky Kong, opening up this tiny hole that we can crawl through with Tiny by using her mini monkey form. And it actually is possible to get into this area during the daytime by using a mini monkey barrel on the other side and coming through this hole right here. However, this pathway up here is blocked by a moon gate during the day, so we actually need to come in here through during the nighttime, and we need that tiny passage because the front door to the barn is blocked during the night. So that's why we had to do all of that. And looks like there's a giant spider in here that thinks monkeys are yum yum. Anyway, here's something that we don't run into at any other point in the game, if I'm not mistaken. A mini-boss that you have to destroy in order to earn a golden banana. I mean, unless you want to count the mechanical fish in Gloomy Galleon as a mini-boss, but I don't really count that as a mini-boss because it doesn't actively attack you. There's just zingers inside that are kind of a nuisance. Anyway, what we want to do is it will send out 3 of its babies, and once you've destroyed all 3 of the baby spiders, it will open up its eye, and then you can just let it have it with some feathers from your feather shooter. Now, as far as taking raw damage, it is the baby spiders that you have to watch out for. Now, it does itself have a few attacks that are more of a hindrance than actual damage. What it will do is spit different colors of goo at you, and depending on the color, it has a different effect. There's a green goo, which slows you down, so that makes it easier for the spiders to hit you. There's also a red goo that he shoots at you, which will just stop you dead in your tracks and build kind of a barrier around you to where you can't move until you either shake yourself out or another enemy hits you. And if I'm not mistaken, and I probably am, I believe he has a purple one. You know what, at this point, he rarely does it, so I can't really remember what color it takes the form of, but he has another one that he shoots at you, which will reverse your controls, making it harder to navigate around. But other than that, yeah, the giant spider's attacks serve more just to hinder you and slow you down. But as far as dealing raw damage, he lets his babies or her babies or whatever. You know what? I'm gonna assume that it's a spider queen, you know, because that seems to be the way it works. It just sounds really deep voiced because it's a monster. But she lets her babies do the dirty work until you deal like the final blow and it shrinks down. Then it comes at you to no avail because unlike its babies, it dies in one hit after that. Alright, and of course our reward is a golden banana, if I could ever swing the camera around to find it. There it is. And if I'm not mistaken, yep, that's pretty much every golden banana that we can get at this point. Now we just need to turn all of those blueprints into Snide. But in order to do that, we have to make a quick trip back to that cuckoo clock in order to switch it back to daytime because Snide's HQ is blocked by a sun gate. So, all in all, I'd say Fungi Forest is my favorite stage in DK64, if anything because it's just the most interesting with its day-night mechanic. I mean, every other stage in the game has its motif, has its style, but, you know, all of them seem to stick to the game's basic mechanics. There's nothing really exclusive as far as gameplay mechanics are concerned with the other stages. I also think it's one of the more fleshed out and more polished stages. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, this is just pure opinion right here. It looks the best. I think it's the most colorful and nice to look at. And because of the day-night mechanic, because every single area in this stage has a song for night and daytime, I believe it has the most music tracks of any stage in the game. So it's easy to tell that they took a lot of time on it. Well, considering the fact that it was originally supposed to be in Banjo-Kazooie, so they actually did have more time with it. They were working on this stage since before the development of the game. And through some editing magic, I just saved you 2 minutes of repetition by skipping to the last performance of the Pee-wee Breakfast Machine. Dun 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 dun. Don't shoot me! Okay, cool. This one doesn't shoot you. It actually does give you breakfast, or at least, you know, a banana, which is part of a balanced breakfast. Oh, and part of a fruit roll-up, which is probably more of a lunchtime snack. But bananas are good. In cereal. I can't be the only one who does that. I don't think I'm the only one who does that. Does anybody else put diced bananas in a bowl of Cheerios? Well, not specifically Cheerios, but any kind of cereal that would go good with that. I do it with Cheerios. It's good. You guys should try it. Alright, looks like we're all good there, except of course for the one missing golden banana for Lanky, but like I said, we need a new ability, so we will be back for that a little later. And I don't think I'll make you guys sit through this. And one crossfade later, as you can probably tell by the green bananas flying into Scoff's mouth, we will be taking on this boss with Chunky Kong. Or maybe you just used the process of elimination and figured this is the 5th boss, and Chunky's the only one that we haven't used for a boss at this point. Fun fact, it's actually possible to glitch your way through any boss door with Donkey Kong. However, it's not actually possible to beat most of the bosses with DK, since a lot of them require specific abilities that are exclusive to a certain Kong. Anyway, in we go. And you probably already recognize this area. And you probably recognize that claw. That's right, it's a rematch with Dogadon. DK64 recycles bosses, and has received some negative criticism as a result. As if the DKC trilogy didn't do the same thing. Oh come on, Chunky, ape up. You're being a bigger baby than your baby brother. Who actually is a baby. Oh, I don't think I mentioned that before. Yeah, Chunky is actually the older brother of Kiddy Kong from Donkey Kong Country 3. Anyway, first fight of this rematch with Dogadon, pretty easy. He flies around, he shoots 5 fireballs, and then he lands. Pick up the TNT barrel, and chuck it at him. And now he ramps things up just a little bit. Now he's going to fire 5 fireballs at us, but instead of landing, he's just going to switch sides over to one of the other corners of the arena and fire 5 more. But this time, when he lands, he's going to stomp the ground and send out a shockwave. If you're quick enough, you can grab the TNT barrel and throw it at him as he's stomping in order to cancel out the shockwave. If not, it's easy to jump over with a high jump, even with Chunky Kong's meager jumping abilities. You can probably already see a pattern building up at this point. He's going to do the same thing, except now he's going to fire 3 barrages of fireballs at you. 5 fireballs each. Here's the 3rd one right here. But this time, when he lands, he's going to add a little bit of a twist to it. So you don't want to... Yeah, he's going to breathe a large wall of fire at you, so you don't immediately want to go for the TNT barrel. Just come over to the edge, hang on it until the fire wall passes, and then if you're quick enough, you can grab the TNT barrel and throw it at him to negate the shockwave that would have resulted from him stomping on the ground. But once again, it's an easy shockwave to jump over. And now he is angry, and this is where the boss fight kind of becomes a little bullshit, for lack of a better word. So Dogadon just stomped on the platform, causing it to slowly sink into the lava. So now we sort of have a time limit to beat him. He's going to fire 1 barrage of 5 fireballs, quickly grab the TNT barrel and throw it at him, causing a hunky chunky barrel to appear. And this is where it gets a little hectic. We want to execute 3 primate punches on him. And this is easier said than done because the timing for multiple primate punches is a little tricky. If you go too fast mashing down the button while holding Z, then instead of doing a primate punch immediately afterward, he'll just go into a normal combo, but that's not strong enough to actually do enough damage to finish him off. On the other hand, if you go too slow, then the Hunky Chunky will wear off before you have the chance to pull off 3 primate punches. And they don't mess around. You have to do this perfectly, and you have to do it for 4 cycles. If you mess up even once, you will sink into the lava and you will have to start the entire boss fight over again. I find that it helps that once you increase in size, you get up really close to him. I'm not sure why, but it seems like if you try to attack him from a distance, then the effects of Hunky Chunky wear off a little faster. Anyway, that seems to have done the trick and we got him beat. And rightfully so this time, because I can understand Dogadon's grudge against Diddy, but Chunky didn't do anything. Dogadon started it this time. Oh god. Oh, that's awful. This is a kid's game. Please, put him out of his misery. Don't have him die that slow. Oh lord. Well, thanks for the nightmare fuel game. I'm gonna go grab myself a heavy alcoholic beverage and try to drown out that memory as I take this key to K-Lumsy. But that's going to have to wait until next time. And until next time, thank you for watching That LP Show, and have a one that is good.